Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we're going to talk about Terragrunt. Let's get right into it. What is Terragrunt? Why do we need it? What is it doing? If you know Terraform, then Terragrunt will be very easy to you because Terragrunt is just something that runs on top of Terraform. So you need all of your basic Terraform skills. Those are here. You see the Terraform skills right here, and you need to know how to. Usually you structure with Terraform. You structure your projects like this. So you have environments, and then you have modules in separate folders like this. So you have Terraform environments, and then you have each of the environment right here. You have your modules down here, and this is what Terragrunt wants to help us with. We have a lot of code that's actually being duplicated right here. That means that we have the providers stuff right here. That is always just duplicated code. And that this is one of the problems that Terragrunt helps us with. Another problem is that usually all of this code you can see right here, right now, it's in my project. So all of this Terraform code and all of these cool modules that I just made right here, those are only inside my own repository. So that means that when someone else needs it, then they need to build and generate this all this complex code again from scratch. Of course, this is not complex. It's just a demo how to create a Google bucket. But of course, but sometimes it can be actually quite complex. The Terraform script that you have to write if you want to write some Amazon service. You want to set up some networking also. Maybe you want to set up a cloud running Google. All of those things are nice to have centralized so other people can also use it. That is the idea behind Terraform. So what they have actually done is, let me just delete this right here. So what they have done is that they have actually said, okay, you need two Git repositories right here. 1, 2. So you have this is the module repository, and then you have resources that you can call from. So this is actually the environment. So you actually have the environments right here. So this is the environment repository, and then the modules repositories, and then you place all of your cool code inside a special structure in the modules repository, Git repository, and then when you need it, then the environment repository code right here, there will be a HCL file right there in somewhere in some kind of folder structure that you decide where you have your environment inside, and then inside that HCL file, then you will actually point to your module repository. That means you can have multiple module repositories if you want to. Then you can actually just have another module repository down here. But in this instance right here, then it was this module repository that you're pointing to. So it actually points to a module repository. It also points to the folder location for your module, the module that you want to use. It also has the variables that you need to set. So maybe here the bucket name was dev. If this was the dev environment, so bucket name equal to dev will also be then forwarded to this module right here. When I say forwarded, it's actually all of it is being downloaded. So the Terragrunt client will handle a lot of these things that I just told you. It will download the code. It will also and then it works just like as usual. It will also use the same Terraform providers that we are used to. A Terraform provider is just a plugin, if you will. So if you're playing around with the buckets, then you need the Terraform bucket provider, and then that one is downloaded in some kind of version and then and used. So that means that most of this is actually most of this Terragrunt is on how you organize your Terraform code. So you still need to know Terraform. You still need to write your Terraform. It's just another way of organizing it, so you can have a kind of more corporate and centralized control of what is actually going on. So that means that you will have one environment repository with all of your projects. You can also have multiple. Of course, it's up to you how to organize it, but many times it is to give the DevOps an overview of what is actually going on. So then you would have a folder for each project that you have, and then the DevOps can go and see, okay, we have 12 projects right here, and I can actually, by looking at the HCL file, then I can see, okay, 4 of them are using the bucket module that we made, and the other 5 are using the cool Cloud Run module that we also made right here. And then they can kind of keep track of what's going on. That means that then if DevOps has the responsibility of making sure that all of the plugins, all of the providers, all of the Terraform providers are up to date and the version are bumped, then this is a much easier setup. Then the DevOps can just go and see, okay, these are, or they can actually look in the module. So it will only be one place where when you have to bump a provider, then just to go in one place, then you say now it's not version 1 anymore, then it's now it's version 10 or whatever, or 20. And then that will actually work on all of the environments that actually uses this module right here. And of course, since you're editing it once and you're testing it, of course you're testing it before you are pushing the code, and then you have seen it work, and then you don't have to, like 10 or 12 projects that has to do the same work also. So you save a lot of work with this approach, because you don't have to. You don't have to maintain Terraform scripts for 12 projects out in each project. You can do that centralized instead. Just go and bump one version, run some tests, and see that it works, and then everybody's happy. You just saved 12 projects some maintenance, and So that is a cool part about Terraform and Terragrunt, and that is what they're trying to help us with. So let me just show you some documentation. Even though us developers, we do not like documentation, they actually have some very cool documentation right here. And the cool thing right here is if you go to keep your Terraform code dry, and then you only have to read the top part until you come down to the section where it says how to run locally. Skip that one if you do not want to run it locally. So read down to the around this line right here. When you see working locally, then you stop reading, and then you say thank you very much for your help, and then you can just start getting hands-on experience instead. But what it says right here, first of all, there's a motivation behind it. Some of the arguments in the motivation does not make that much sense, because it says if you're using environments already, if you're already using modules in Terraform, then some of the arguments does not make sense, but some of the arguments make sense, especially the one with actually centralizing it, giving the power to the DevOps, so they only have to bump one place to be compliant now and to close some security holes. Maybe there was some security holes inside the provider. If that is the case, then usually they would actually remove it from the general place to get the provider, but that's another story. So here we have so this is the real life scenario right here that they're showing, but let me just fast forward through that, because what I want to show an example of this the Terragrunt HCL5 that you would like to have. So this is an example from where you are in the environment repository. So you're in the environment repository right here. You have to create this HCL file, and then this is how it would actually look like. So you have the source equal to git, and then this is just a normal git pointer, right? Then when you come to after the 2 forward slashes, then this is the folder location inside the module repository, and then you have a reference that says 003. And what was the reference 003 actually? Okay, I forgot. I will tell you next video what this actually was, but it will point to the right. Oh yeah, but that's because there are different versions. Of course. This is because there are different versions of the module. So then you can actually use target a specific version of this module right here. So it means if other people are upgrading and committing new versions, then you can just still keep using the old version as long as you want to in the environment repository. You just point to you just give the reference right here. And just want to see if there was okay. Let us not dwell with that. What else? What do I want to say about this First of all, this documentation is very, if you already know Terraform, this documentation is very easy to read and to get through. There's a new CLI that you have to use. You need to use, again, you can say apply, and you can also say, you can also go and say apply all, and then you can actually apply a whole bunch of environments that you want to apply. Of course, that's up to you how you organize it, but I would recommend, this is just how I would do it. I would just have of course, I would have a folder per project, and then I would have per environment that you're going to set up. So that means it may be one for dev, stage, production. And then under the in each of those folders, then you would have a .htl file where it will point to the modules that you actually need. So that is actually Terragrunt. It's quite simple when it's stated and shown like this. I'll show you some real life examples in the next video. But right now there's another thing right here. If you go to Terragrunt's front page, which is terragruntwork.io, then do not feel scared about that. There's something named called Open Tofu. If you know about it, if you don't know what this is, like I didn't, then it's an open source version of Terraform, because HashiCorp they want money for their time and their product and their source code, so they have added some. At some point, they added some stricter license usage for when it should be paid and how it should be paid. Right now it's just free, you can just download it, but they started opening up for some license discussions, and the community did not like that. So then someone from the community, they went and created Open Tofu, and this is the reason why that they give on their webpage right here. It says that the HashiCorp's free FAQ gives some peace of mind to end users and system integrators for now, but the licensing terms implications for future usage are unclear, and so that is what they don't like. The possibility that the company's definition of competitive or embedding could change, or the license could be further modified to make it closed source prompts uncertainty for Terraform users. So that means that they expect, or they fear that the HashiCorp will actually change the licensing in the future, and how we're allowed to use Terraform. So that is why they're using. That's why they've created this. If you haven't tried, I'll also make another video with Open Tofu. If you haven't tried it out, then just go to the webpage. Right here, just search for OpenTofu, or go to opentofu.org. Then you can find a lot of cool stuff right here. Some documentation, get started, and you can see some of the commands look a bit familiar, right? You have write, plan, apply, and and that's what I want to say about OpenTofu tonight. It was Terragrunt. Terragrunt is cool. It will give you this structure instead. The reason, so I don't have any hands-on example tonight. I only have my good old Terraform scripts. But in the next video, we will create 2 repositories, and then we will call Terragrunt CLI. Of course, we could download the Terraform CLI together. Why not? So let's say install, and then you go here, and then we say, go to the releases page to download the binary for your system. So you have to know if you're running Windows or Linux, but you probably know that. So there was actually an install button. Oh, it was not a button. Go to releases page. That's right here. Then you go find, in this situation right here, Terragrunt for Windows. Yes. And then it downloads at some point. And then just installs, and then you get this Terragrunt CLI. It's just like having Terraform. Just have the Terragrunt, and then you can run apply, and you can run. You can also call dry run. You can also remove or delete everything as usual. So the commands are very similar to the ones that you know in Terraform. So that's actually it. And there's a changelog right here. It is in a version 0.67, point 1. I'm always a bit nervous, but when it's below version 1, but it is because it is new, but it's not new. It's like it has been there for some time, but it is still undergoing some it's still undergoing changes quite often. But that is good. But there's a huge support behind Terragrunt, and it's easy to use, and it's built on top of Terraform. And if you regret at some point, you can always just take your modules and move them back. But I think if it's a strategic decision for you and your company whether they want to have whether you want to use the structure so it's centralized, or whether you want to have them all in each project. There are also benefits of having the Terraform scripts in each project. That means that then if you're DevOps, then you don't have to maintain, and then it's up to the project actually to maintain their own code, including how it should be deployed. So that gives the DevOps less to do. Of course, it can sometimes be a bit difficult for the team members to actually maintain it, because it is something that's been running for a year in production, and now suddenly they have to bump some version somewhere and test that it works, and they've long forgotten how to use Terraform, because they only had to use Terraform just to get it up and running and to deploy it in the first place. As usual, maybe along with some help from the DevOps. So that is the downside with having it in the projects. There are some good sides, and there are some good thoughts about this structure right here. One repo with all environments and who should use it, and then one repo with all the modules which are reusable. Of course, sometimes then you will end up in then you will have to split up, because the modules are not doing exactly the same, and you cannot use variables to do the separate things. Maybe you want to have a Cloud Run that is being set up with an older version of the provider API, and then of course then you just create two modules that almost does the same thing, but of course you name them differently, and then in the environment folder, an environment repository over here, then you just in one situation you just point to one, and in the other environment or project then you go and point to the other module that does almost the same. So it's still okay. You can create multiple modules that does almost the same thing, just with different that has different variables. That is totally doable. But you are supposed to think about your variables and then make it so generic that that it can be used by multiple across projects. So that is actually the idea. And of course, the cool thing about, because this is a Git repository, then you have revisions, right? So that means that when someone changes this module right here, then suddenly it's version 2 instead, right? That's how Git works. And you have, when I say 2, I mean some hash, some commit hash right here, but it also has a version, so you can bump those versions and you can point to the exact version down there. Okay, I think I've spoken enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for all of your comments. They make my day. And have a great evening. Hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.